F1 is officially back for a brand new season, and we're here at the Circuit de Catalunya, where all the teams and the drivers are beginning to understand their cars for the pre-season test before we get on with the brand new Formula 1 season. But without further ado, let's have a look at the teams, let's have a look at the drivers, see who's moved around, and get a feel and understanding for how every single competitor is doing on the grid so far. First things first, then, we're going to go over to Mercedes-Benz, who launched their car in their black and blue livery, which we have seen many times from the team themselves. And their driver lineups are slightly different compared to last year. Reese Wenger maintains his position at Mercedes-Benz, now most likely the lead driver for the team, and George Russell has shockingly managed to get himself into that Mercedes seat. As we remember, George Russell was removed from the Mercedes driver program back a few years ago, but has managed to find his way into the team. Mercedes say that they are still, however, having some power unit problems heading into this season. Last season, with Tom and Reese at the wheel, it was very, very difficult for Mercedes to extract a lot from their power unit, as they were seriously struggling. This season, they don't seem to have ironed that out and are still having some problems with it. Reese is determined to push as hard as ever for the World Championship. Last year, he saw his teammate Tom take the World Drivers' Championship and failed to do much to actually damage that, and only picked up one race win. And George Russell is looking forward to racing with Mercedes and repairing the relationship that he had initially broke in the first place with the team. Next up then is going to be Ferrari, and Ferrari have got a good old face coming back to their team, and that is Fernando Alonso, who has returned to Formula 1 to drive for the Scuderia Ferrari. Alonso admits that he missed F1 and he feels good to be back in the sport and is ready to try and fight for the title. Fernando Alonso said that the Ferrari had contacted him with regards to the drive, and after seeing Ferrari's impressive plan to head out to Fernando Alonso, he decided to come through. But he's going to have a tough time executing the plan of winning the championship when he's got young star Charles Leclerc to try and battle against. Leclerc is ready for his dream drive with Ferrari and is ready to take on Fernando Alonso and show that he's not just a kid and that he is ready to take on the master. Ferrari, however, overall are showing a lot of progress heading into this testing session. We saw last year Ferrari were extremely poor, one of their worst seasons so far in Formula 1, but this time around things look up for the Scuderia, and let's see how they can get on in the brand new season. Next up then, we have got Red Bull Racing, and we have got another returnee to their team, this time in the hands of Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel has returned to Red Bull and has already believed that he is back home with Red Bull. He feels like this was the most comfortable place he's ever been in his Formula 1 career, and when Red Bull came knocking for an opportunity to come back, he could not say no, and that's exactly what he has done. With him partnered alongside is former world champion and reigning world champion Thomas Fox. He is ready for a new chapter and a new challenge in Formula 1 and believes that Red Bull is the place to be and that he wants to try and win a world championship with the illustrious team, and Red Bull are looking just as strong as ever last year. We saw Red Bull were pretty much the third fastest team behind Mercedes and McLaren last year, and this time around Tom believes that Red Bull can take that next step into trying to attack the Mercedes and the McLaren teams up the front. Next up then, we're going to go to Audi, and Audi launched with a brand new set of not only driver lineups, but also a new style of livery with the black and red coming back onto their car. First of all, though, they have brought in the first F2 rookie. Devon Butler has joined Formula 1, and Butler says that it's about time that somebody actually went ahead and signed him, and that his talent was being wasted with the teams being afraid to sign him in Formula 1. Pretty cocky there from Devon. However, he's got his seat with Audi, and now he needs to prove himself because he's alongside Valtteri Bottas, who is looking to try and improve himself as a racing driver. He says that he's very happy to finally be in a car which is a lot faster again, as he has been sitting at the back normally with a BMW. And Audi, however, though, have had a lot of issues with front-end grip in testing, which they hope to try and relieve throughout the season with multiple different upgrades and potentially a brand new front wing to maybe just try and counter that. But Audi overall, though, are looking positive, are going to try and maintain their performance when they were challenging Red Bull a lot of the times throughout the period of last season. And now the biggest shock probably in the entire paddock comes down from what was BMW and is now Williams once again. Now, this is something that nobody actually saw coming, and BMW have decided that they are to leave Formula 1 after an extremely poor return to the sport, really just struggling to get their hand in on the championship and just not really doing well with all of their upgrades. It just wasn't working out for them. And out of nowhere, Williams decided to just come back. They thought, do you know what? BMW were going to go. They weren't selling off their team. They just departed from Formula 1. It was a free entry, and Williams just took it, and they completely shot the paddock by doing it. And they've got two drivers that are highly skilled alongside them, with Nick de Vries and Lando Norris. But the twist doesn't quite all make sense just yet. Lando Norris signed a pre-deal at the end of last year to go to BMW. Now BMW have gone and Williams are in. Lando Norris maintains that position, but it wouldn't surprise me if Lando Norris is not upset about this. He was very quiet during winter testing and didn't really speak to anyone and wasn't quite himself. So I don't think this is going to be the last of Lando Norris coming out of the picture. Williams as well have issued a 3-year plan for their return into Formula 1. We're not sure what their 3-year plan is, but they have a 3-year plan in place. They don't believe that it's going to take the full 3 years for their plan to get into effect. However, they have a plan in place, so very interested to find out what that plan is. But that was the biggest shock that came out of the paddock. Nick de Vries, meanwhile, is very much looking forward to racing in the Williams car. And then next up, we've got Renault and their driver lineup of Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon. Two very, very quick drivers looking to try and make amends for, again, some poor seasons for Renault. Renault do believe that their driver lineup is going to equal success after being questioned if the two drivers are going to be able to get along. However, Cyril Beatbull said that's completely false, and both Ricciardo and Ocon are going to be completely fine in their cars. They're both brilliant, talented and aggressive drivers, and are both going to be striving as hard as each other to get not only World Championship points, but also an opportunity to beat each other in the championship. Renault, however, are suffering with a lack of stability in pre-season testing. There were a lot of spins coming from the Red Bull, not from the Red Bull car, the Renault car in testing. It was something that was quite upsetting and a bit frustrating, as they were also running out of tyres because, of course, they were spinning so much that they were having to use some slightly worn down tyres and didn't quite get the best data. But obviously, they're happy to at least know where they need to start improving. And Ocon is ready for his teammate battle. He knows that he's got a big challenge ahead of him facing against Daniel Ricciardo, and obviously this time around he needs to make sure that he doesn't only beat him but also try not to crash into him, because that's not going to go down well. Next up then, we're going to go to Jaguar, and a new look for Jaguar this time around. The HSBC Nice Jaguar Green has gone for the black and blue Panasonic Jaguar. Panasonic have become official title sponsors with Jaguar now, and Jaguar have decided to title or partner up with Panasonic for the new season. And Panasonic are heavily investing in the car with Jaguar. So not only have they become title sponsors, and have also changed their livery to base it around the Panasonic Jaguar theme, Panasonic themselves are also going to be investing quite a bit of money into Jaguar, as they do believe that they are ready to put themselves a bit further forwards into some different industries to try and bring up a bit more promotion for their own products. And Jaguar and Panasonic so far have had a good time with things. Not the car though. Testing, however, has caused a lot of problems for Jaguar, with a lot of different issues coming up, especially to do with the gearbox and the electronics. There have been a few occasions during testing when the Jaguar car has cut out on track due to an electronic issue, and they also had to change their gearbox twice due to gearbox problems out on track. Their driver lineup though is going to be Nico Hülkenberg and Lucas Weber. So the second man to get promoted from F2, Lucas Weber, is going to be partnering himself alongside Nico Hülkenberg, and it's going to be a very interesting lineup. Hülkenberg as fiery as ever to try and do as well as he can in Formula 1, and also he's got the test now of Lucas Weber right next to him, and Weber is going to want to try and beat him. So it's going to be quite an interesting one. Next up, we're going to move over to Porsche now, and Porsche have got themselves a brand new lineup, and an all-German lineup of Nico Rosberg and Pascal Wehrlein here, and Porsche have set their sights high for the new season. They're aiming to fight for podiums in the season. That is as simple as that. That is what Porsche want, and that's what they're going to be going for. Porsche have gone with pretty much a standard white and black livery, with a little bit of red added in there as well to try and mix things up a little bit. Nico Rosberg hopes to succeed with Porsche and sets his sights on a long-term career path now with Porsche. We've seen Nico Rosberg bounce around different teams as of late. He started off as part ownership with the Audi Formula 1 team. He then decided to start that one onwards to focus fully on his Formula 1 One career. He moved over to Ferrari, and that ended extremely badly with an extremely heated rivalry between himself and Hülkenberg, and now he's gone over to Porsche and says that this is where he wants to stay, the German driver with the German team, and just wants to move on and try and succeed with Porsche. And Porsche are succeeding, especially on the power unit side of things. They made great gains with their PU in pre-season testing, with some great top-end speed coming out of there afterwards, and it's something that they're really looking forward to heading into the new season. Pascal Wehrlein felt that it was a little bit upsetting that he lost his drive from Red Bull to go to Porsche. However, Pascal Wehrlein says that he's not fazed by this and he's very, very happy to be with Porsche. Then we're going to go to the team that should have won it last year, but they didn't, McLaren. McLaren are very much in a frame of mind where they are motivated to beat Mercedes. We saw McLaren last year were by far the fastest team on the grid, but one of the most unreliable, and that really cost them, especially when the championship was close between Sam and Tom. Sam was leading the race, and unfortunately his engine failed, giving Tom a free victory, one of the toughest moments that McLaren had to face. Sam is very much eager to win that title with McLaren. He was close to doing it last season, and he just couldn't do it. When Tom finally found that run of form, Sam was unable to beat him, and then when Sam got that form going, the McLaren reliability let him down. Lewis Hamilton, though, is going to partner alongside Sam, so it's not exactly going to be easy for Sam when you've got someone as talented as Hamilton coming in to fight you off. And Hamilton says that he's extremely happy to be back with McLaren again and is ready to work with his former team. But that doesn't mean that it's all been plain sailing for McLaren. In fact, it's been the polar opposite. They were well off the pace in testing, and McLaren are extremely puzzled by the lack of pace in testing. The car felt good, but it didn't drive fast, and it's something that they need to rectify, and it might not mean that they'll be at the top of the start of the season, and they may need a couple of races to adjust themselves, but McLaren really on the back foot heading into that testing, adding into this testing phase. Also, the new thing that we see from McLaren, obviously, is their livery and a new returning sponsorship deal. McLaren have re-sponsored up or partnered up with Vodafone, and we see the classic silver and red livery come back for McLaren, and they believe this is, currently as we know, this is a 2-year deal to reform up with Vodafone. However, it completely varies. It may actually only be for 1 year, it may be for longer. As far as we know, it's a bog standard 2-year deal, but there is flexibility for both to either separate after this season, continue after 2, but for now, we're going to be seeing McLaren back in a retro livery of the Vodafone team. And then the last team to enter into Formula 1 and a new team to enter into Formula 1, it is Ford Formula 1 team. Ford have finally got their opportunity to come into Formula 1 after trying for so many times. And Fords have been really looking forward to this opportunity. They initially wanted to get into Formula 1 quite a while ago when Audi, Porsche and also BMW got themselves into the sport, but it just didn't work out for them. Then it was a fight between Lamborghini and Ford to get into Formula 1 when Toro Rosso decided to stop being a part of Formula 1 after Red Bull cut that team away. Lamborghini unfortunately won that bidding war, and once again Ford were just interested and showed high interest but just didn't want to put all the money into the bid, and eventually they missed the gun when Williams jumped into the sport after BMW shockingly left the sport, and now Ford finally got their chance when Lamborghini decided to part ways with Formula 1 and move back over to their road cars, and Ford decided that they needed to get into Formula 1. They wanted to. They bought out the remains of Lamborghini, and in the sport they come. They're very excited to get going in Formula 1 and have got two very strong drivers alongside each other to really help bolster the team in Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly. Ford are targeting a points finish for the first season and don't expect to be up there fighting at the front straight away. However, they believe their upgrades will hopefully propel them further up the order, and both Sainz and Gasly are happy to start their new chapter with Ford and are just simply ready to get going. But there we go again, guys. That is it for the pre-season test here at the Circuit de Catalunya. On your screens right now is going to be the race calendar, so you guys can see what tracks that we're going to be going to for this season. It's going to be very, very interesting with all the developments going on up and down the grid. Who's going to be the fastest on the grid? Who's going to be the world champion? And who's going to be able to fight for that title? We will see you guys next week for a brand new series and a brand new season of the F1 journey. Thank you very much for watching. Take care all. Peace.